Whew.
And we are live. What is going on? We have a lovely guest on tonight. One of my really good friends,
Okay.
Chris. What's going on, man?
Whew.
Yeah,
Doing pretty good, Proc. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's been a long week. I'm ready for it to. I'm ready for Friday. Let me tell you, it's been a long week at work. A lot of meetings. So what's been going on in your world, man?
Oh, trying to survive the distance learning nightmare with three children. When you
I
have
totally hear you.
when you have three kids. What? Yeah, go ahead. Get. When you have three kids, three different teachers, three different age groups, three sets of meetings going all day long, three sets of homeworks. You got to play like referee, gym coach, everything. You're like, please, just go catch COVID and get out of my house.
Yeah, we've had. We have always have kid drama going on here. We got. Yeah, you have four or five, right?
Three. Oops. Three.
Three. Yeah, that's right. I got double. I forget. Some of them are out of the house, but
Lucky.
yeah, my kids are. There's always some sort of drama going on with kids, and I think that's the reason why at one point I just said I have to learn how to deal with this better because I'll go crazy. These six kids will kill me.
Oh, I'm all for dealing with it better. Just we got to find something different than virtual learning for school. For older kids, you can do that, but in my opinion, grade school, you're really pushing that envelope because they need that social interaction.
Right.
You,
Totally get you. Totally get you. Yeah, I
it,
think that's the one thing that Caden's been missing.
oh yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. I have to yell at my daughter Brianna because she's bouncing a ball in her chair. And she's like, "It's okay, Daddy. I'm on mute and they can't see me." I'm like, "No, you're at school. Give me that." And here comes the waterworks and the crying, and her teacher's like, "What's wrong, Brianna? What's going on?" It's like, none of your business. I'm trying to get her to focus on you. Just.
I've so been there. I have my middle daughter. Well, my second daughter. She was the drama queen. She's always been. She's still the drama queen. Both of them are a little bit of drama, but Shannon always has. She had the waterworks. Always played the dad role. And look at me, I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so anyway, yeah. So today we wanted to. Well, first we had to. James is going to be maybe a little late, maybe not a little late, and all I did this week was we did some donuts in the morning. So I said, "Do donuts. What did you bring?" Oh, there you go. There you
Gives
go.
you an instant sugar high and a great crash when you need a nap. Just take a handful, you're out in about 20 minutes.
That's so true. So we have exactly one person watching us right now, which is fine. People will watch it
Hi,
later.
whoever you are.
Whoever, it may be you who tuned into the chat.
No, my screen's blank. I'm blank.
Yeah, and now there's two, but
We're growing.
it's
Yes.
funny. It's funny. It's funny because these always take a little bit of. It's like it's in the middle of two big streams.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to disrupt other people's, so I'm always like, "Hey, Joe is my buddy. Let's promote his stuff on right after mine." So I have to fit mine in. However, I will tell you this: that what I've been excited about, Chris, and this is the reason why I brought you on. And in a bit here, we're going to bring my buddy Brian from High Mountain Sage, who is a therapist. So I want to get his perspective, and I've done a lot of research over the years over what you've been talking about, which is suicide prevention.
Yeah.
Yours is definitely more geared toward soldiers. What have you been doing this month to help kind of bring awareness to that?
Well, a huge part about it is I really truly believe that once you join and you serve, you hold yourself to a higher standard. It's almost like a calling, like you being a shrink and people being a teacher, or I don't know, people who want to go out and dig ditches for a living. It's your calling. But once you get into that mindset where you're protecting the nation, you're serving the nation, you're at this higher standard, and you're like, I can't fail, I shouldn't fail, I don't need to fail. But when you do, you don't know how to handle it that well. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they retreat to the darkness really easily and go, I have to put on this really, really cool front. I have to have this thing right up here. And like I've been saying all month, if a lot of people would just open up and talk, like I did with you when I had that whole issue that I was trying to correct myself on, like the anger and everything.
Right.
My life kind of turned on that point. And it's simply because I came to you and I talked and I shared that burden. No one will listen to a vet more than another vet, you know, and a good example is like Ken over at Bluegrass Beard. Talked to him a couple times, you know, when I was on a show and everyone's like, how long have you guys known each other? I'm like, 2 weeks, you know, but because of that vet, you have that common bond, and it's okay to stand up and go, I'm having difficulty. I can't do this. I need help. But if so many people, and I'm trying to phrase this because I know your channel is really, really family friendly, would think outside the box and not think you're just a beeping kitty cat, you know, family friendly as I can put it.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
That you could just do so much more. You know, I get some people you can't help because their inner demons have taken such a stranglehold. And I'm not saying the VA is perfect, because a lot of vets, when they go there, especially after they've served, they've had heavy duty combat and whatnot, they give them the Global War on Terror starter kit. It's like, here, take all these meds. We'll see what's working in a month or so. And you can't treat a lot of problems with chemicals. There are some you can, you know, I'm not going to lie. There's, you know, I've always made this joke. It's like, how do I sleep at night? I don't know, 3 fingers of vodka and hoping my kids don't burn down the house. You know, that kind of thing.
Right, right.
But there's so many people that if they could just find someone they could talk to, because you know, with being on the other side of a table, people look at you like, okay, so how is this about my mom? How is this about this? How is this related to sex? How is this here? How is this there? Instead of just sitting and talking to you, you know, like I did with you, and be totally open and honest and going, Pratt, you know, and you were calm enough to sit there and just let me rant. It can do wonders. And there's just that stigma of, I can't talk, but you need to.
Yeah. And so Brian's joining us right now.
Hey, my favorite shrink alcohol. I like this guy.
Shh, get on the down low, please.
So I think
How are you guys?
We're doing good. We were talking about Chris's. This month is again Suicide Awareness Month, and I've dedicated this show specifically to that awareness. But more specifically, detail is what Chris has been doing with helping soldiers out, coming back from. I mean, there's just so much to it. And that's what I was kind of get into a little bit, and then we can maybe even discuss it as at that therapeutic level, about what, you know, maybe some ideas, maybe some concepts. But I wanted to finish up what you were saying, Chris, which was go ahead.
They
kind of
getting situated there, Brian, and we lost him. Okay,
and we lost him.
But it's just getting people comfortable to talk, you know, letting them know it's okay. So if just me getting on Instagram for 3 or 4 minutes a day going, it's all right, gets through to one single person, seriously, 24 days have been worth it.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that's the reason why I wanted to bring a therapist on, because this is one of my good friends, Brian. And I wanted people to know this is a therapist. He's not a scary guy. He's actually a beard company owner. He has a normal life. He has a kid right now, right, Brian? And
you can probably hear him playing around with stuff.
He's watching, he's playing, but he's a normal guy. You know, you can go to him, talk to him, and he has the ability to give you tools to help you get through tough times. And that's kind of what we're talking about, is being aware that there is help out there, and talking and having an ability as a vet to talk to another vet is really awesome. But the question that I always have is, how would a vet help another vet? And I know that you've done some resources. There's a lot of resources out there. The one website that you have been pushing out there this week is, which one was that?
A month. It's stopsoldiersuicide.org.
Yeah.
They have made it their mission, like with other companies, like how Cleverbeard is paired up with Mission 22.
Oh, very cool.
You know, you've got so many organizations out there who are really rising to the cause, and it's amazing to see the work they can do once people open up and go, I need help. And like we were talking, seeing past that stigma.
Right. And that's my whole point. I mean, look, this is Brian. He's probably seen, he has a number of clients. He's working and transitioning on some new ideas. I love that. But he's a dad. He's a beard company owner. He's doing some things that are normal. And these are just people that just went to school to help other people. And like what Brian says is that you come to me, I give you some tools, you move on, you use them. Right? Right, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, that is the basis of therapy. You know, it's not like you have to go in and divulge every single thing that's ever happened to you. In fact, there's really there's a lot of therapeutic interventions, I guess is the word I could use here, that you don't even have to talk about what's going on. Like EMDR is a form of therapy where they activate your brain while you think about some of these more disturbing or stressful events, or just negative things that are going on in your life. And based on movements that you watch with your eyes or feel like with little buzzers in your hand, it actually imitates, so to speak, like REM sleep. So it recreates that while you're awake, and it processes these really difficult emotions and memories, and can be very, very healing without really saying a word. I mean, you probably do talk to the therapist a little bit, right? But you don't have to get into the nitty gritty at all. So,
well, for me, I'll be honest with you. My biggest successes have always been when I found someone, say like Prack, who just lets me rant and rave and get it all out. And they're like, okay, now what? And that's a huge difference. And I hate to say it this way, between like a military therapist where you're going in, they hold the rank of an officer, and you've got to tell them everything, even if you don't want to, because, well, I'm going to have to report this to your command. We're going to have to take you off this active status. We're going to have to remove you from this. We're going to have to do that unless you do this. And it's one of those, if you're not ready to talk, you're not gonna, now you've just lost a lot of stuff.
There's a lot more at stake there.
Yeah, but that's another huge point that I've been trying to hammer home this month is, it's okay. Your burden gets so much easier. I mean, I don't know if you caught that live stream I had where I had a panel of vets up there. It was a great time. I had 3 guys that I served with, and I had 2 people who have served recently. One of them, I know he had some issues, and it was great to see him in there and interacting with everyone. And like you were saying, Brad, how can a vet help a vet? That was a great night where you sit around, you talk, you tell your stories, you tell your stuff, you're true, you're honest, and you feel at home. You feel like that family,
Yeah.
And you have people that get what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's that peer support,
Yeah, and this may sound weird, and I'm not picking on your profession, but there's nothing worse when you go see a shrink and you're seeing a blank stare right back at you, and you're getting this, So how does that make you feel? Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, and I haven't been in any kind of armed services or anything like that, right? And so I do work with vets. In fact, I just saw one today, and it's one of those things like you could come to me and talk to me and share with me your story. And I admit, right, there's certain things that I just won't understand. And that is a legitimate thing that I think, one, is very important to discuss in the therapeutic process anyways. Like, if you are seeing a therapist that is a veteran, or that is, currently, an officer, or, has rank, right there, like, that's going to be very, very, very beneficial. Like, I admit that right off the bat. However, that doesn't mean that the therapist that doesn't have that background can be helpful. Maybe you need someone that has a fresh look at it, that doesn't really totally understand it, right? Pros and cons either way. And I do think, though, if you can find a therapist that is also a vet, hey, that's a win-win.
For a lot of people, yeah. I'll be honest with you. For a lot of people, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Joshua Ricks, how you doing, brother?
Hey, yeah, thanks for coming on in. I think that this is such a huge topic, and it's definitely affected. So I think about, and this is what I was telling, I think I told you, Chris, or I was telling somebody, I can't remember who, but growing up, my dad was military 27 years.
Air Force.
And I had a very different dad after he got out. Once he left the service, and there was a transition for a few years that was really very difficult, I think, because he was 27. He was a lifer. He had been used to this. When he was raising us, he was maybe more strict, but more disciplined with us. I was scared of it growing up, that's for sure. And then he got out of the service and he had to transition out after 27 years of being, especially at his rank, he was a head NCO.
Yeah.
So he had been, 10 years of that. So he had been used to this. The way you talk to people in the military is very different than the way you talk to people in this.
Oh God, yes.
Completely civilian sector.
Yes.
And he had to learn some lessons, unfortunately, some of the hard ways. He's a great person, an amazing dad. But my sisters I have a sister that's about 12 years younger. She got a different version of my dad. And it was because he became softer. He had to be, because the military had hardened him. And he, this is the way things were for 27 years. And then he got out, and now he had to be, he worked as a auditor at a car place.
We see, and that's the huge thing is, like, when you're in, what time you got to get up, what you got to do, where you got to be, what you're going to wear, when your duty day is going to be. You everything is structured. From the time you get up to the time you go to bed, I'm going to be here at this point doing blah, 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 blah. Once you get out, that structure is gone. It's all on you to make it happen. And that's where a lot of people, and I hate to even equate it like this, a lot of criminals, when they get out of jail, are so used to that structure, they reoffend just to go back to get that structure back because they can't handle the outside.
It's a huge adjustment.
It is. Oh, yeah. And what are your so Brian, you've seen some of this over the years, and what is your... So first, let's just talk about a transition into a different point of life for any person, but specifically in a military. What would you be suggesting for somebody to transition nicely into a different change that's going on for them?
Well, broad type stuff. That's a really good question. You have to look at it like, what aspects from that previous lifestyle can be implemented easily, not forcing it. Like perhaps, setting the alarm to get up at the same time, right? I mean, that's only going to work if you are now in a job, like if you do work, right, that's during the day, right? If you're working swing shift, I mean, that's going to be a totally different kind of adjustment. But It's trying to implement similar things that were going on and actually having this accepting kind of approach, just emotionally accepting that it's going to be different and stepping into that discomfort. Right? It's basically just saying, I am going to have a difficult time right now. No denial.
Yeah, there's
And
that
I
old
think-
military saying. It's called "embrace the suck," Brian.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what you're talking about. You've got to embrace the suck, or you're going to go
Yeah.
insane.
And perhaps even deliberately making choices to kind of mix things up, right? Because a lot of that is that it's outside of your control. There's things happening now that are totally outside of your control. Whereas in the service, like you were saying, Chris, like it's pretty much clock that you do, right? And they control for things so they don't come in and mess that up. You have no idea if someone's going to knock on your door, try to sell you something once you're not in the service. And they're going to throw you off, right? They're going to talk to you. What do you do when that happens? Like, and I've seen it with some of the clients I work with, right? That one little thing throws them off, and the rest of the day they're annoyed, they're angry, and they don't know how to cope with that. And so it's like, well, choosing to. It's like saying, okay, so this person came up, and it's on my day off. Or like you schedule in something that is totally different from what you normally would do, and purposefully create opportunities to get out of a routine, right? So it's like exposure therapy. That's kind of like broad and general, but if it was, you really have to look at it case by case, of course. But
Yeah, but a huge little thing, and like I've been saying all month, and I agree with you how that one little thing, and this is what I've been telling everyone in my Instagram feeds all month. You can come back from that one little thing. You've got to tell yourself, this isn't going to screw me up. I mean, I know you've heard of Murphy's Law, and when you get any plans in the military, you've always got to account for Mr. Murphy. Even though you think he's not coming along for the ride, he's stowing away in a pack somewhere, and he's going to pop out at the worst possible moment.
yeah,
But it's just, I think way too many people grab onto that one thing, and they focus on that one thing, and that tears their whole day apart. Oh, I just lost that video game. Damn, I wasn't going to get drunk today, but look, now I'm going to do it. Oh, well, I had a really, really bad day. I don't want to do that 8-ball, but oh well.
mm-hmm. And it's really quite unfortunate because, well, what is the reason for the structure in the Army, right, or in the Navy, or in any armed service, right, Marines? What is the purpose of that? From my understanding,
it keeps that engine moving on a well-oiled machine,
right, and creating those types of habits so that you know exactly what to expect and exactly what to do at a given notice. I mean, it's, when it comes down to it, from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I haven't served. That structure just everywhere could mean life or death if you were in a scenario where you needed to react on instinct.
In some instances, yeah.
And so my understanding of it would be, you have this routine, so you don't have to think. It eliminates choice.
That's why we train so hard. Seriously, the more you sweat on the training field is the less you bleed on the battlefield.
Yeah, and you can apply that to other areas, like let's say you apply to sports. Professional athletes are training like flick of the wrist in basketball, something like that, so that they don't have to think about it when it comes game time.
Yeah, it's all muscle memory. Yeah,
absolutely. And so, going out of the service, you now have muscle memory that no longer serves the purpose it was meant to, right? You don't have need for those skills anymore. They are there. And so it's really a matter of training the habits and maybe replacing those. Again, it has to be a deliberate effort. like if you're not thinking about this and you're not thinking like, well, okay, I'm trained to do certain things at a certain time every single day, and if I don't deliberately think about how that no longer is the case, I am going to be thrown off. But if you expect the unexpected, it's a little easier.
Well, and that's one of the things that I've been preaching this whole month. You know, we're always taught, go find your next objective. Okay, so I know a lot of my stuff that I've been saying this month has been geared towards, you know, vets, but it can be applied a whole bunch of other areas, because if you spent, like, I don't know, maybe an extra 10 minutes a day, you got up 10 minutes early and you left. What happens if there's a little traffic jam? Now you have that extra little buffer. You're not sweating it. Am I going to be late to work? You know, why not just drop Starbucks for a day and get something a little different from home and bring it with you? You can make these changes that will affect everything down the road in the rest of your day. You know, like look at all those millionaires. They have their whole day planned the next day ahead of time. They already know what they're going to do. Some people I know are already laying out their clothes for the next day, going, I will wear these tomorrow.
Yeah. So what do you do if you wake up and you find that your 4-year-old kid has taken those clothes and dragged them through the mud, right?
In my situation, I just put on another pair of shorts and keep moving on, you know?
Yeah. There's an element of flexibility, right? And I think that's key. And that is a learned skill. It's learned. Flexibility is something that can be developed, just like any other type of, math or drums or guitar.
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah, but it's do you have that willpower to do it? Before I go too much further, Joshua, I see your question, bro. I've tried every vitality that Gary's put out, but move, and I seriously love it. So use code Chris10 at checkout at Chesapeake. Save yourself some cash. What's the shameless plug for Gary? But moving on.
Cool.
We're still part of the bearded community, which I love. Which is
absolutely.
Actually, we're all part of it, so it's always cool. It's always cool to be able to share some cool stuff with other brothers. So this is another thing that's so I have dealt with not so much a vet, but I know that my daughter, when she was a teenager, attempted suicide by overdosing on pills, which was extremely scary.
Sorry, guys.
And
it's okay. It's okay. I'm a parent. Don't worry.
Yeah, I got 6 of these. But I will tell you that was the scariest moment. A lot of it came down to learning coping skills and being able to have her effectively communicate to someone. Most of the time it was dad. But it was about what you were talking about, is having the effective communication back and forth, and a lot of not blame being said. That was the one thing that I realized from my daughter, that not blaming her for feeling the way that she does and accepting it and loving her through it, instead of, how can you think like this? That's the one thing that people there's a net of shame that goes along with thinking suicidal thoughts, which is why they don't come to me. And they don't want to talk about it, because they're ashamed of the way they feel. And I think that if you come from a space, which is what you're talking about, Chris and Brian, that coming to that place with, we're all in the same boat together, let's deal with this together as a team, instead of, oh, how could you feel like that? And that was, there's some old school, my parents would think like that. How could you think like that? You shouldn't be thinking thoughts like that. How could you think like that? We taught you better. And now I think you're now seeing more of an improvement of thought, where this is not atypical anymore. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to accept it, but it is better for you to be able to communicate with somebody that you feel comfortable with, and that person to come back with you without blaming, with an understanding, saying, I've been there, done that, which is exactly what you're talking about, reaching out to a vet. Been there, done that. And I think that it comes out of and having a loving, open heart additionally helps people kind of track in. And with you and with anybody that I know that I've helped in any way, shape, or form, which is never me. It's always like I give you some resources and some venting space, right?
Right.
And I don't push it on people. You know, you're going to have to come to this on your own. There is times with suicide prevention that you do have to make something happen for them. There is times where you hear certain key phrases like "I want to kill myself,"
All right.
there is
I'm
time
going
to step in.
I'm going to use a good example here. Okay. I had an ex-girlfriend who, at least once a year, she would pull this: "I'm depressed. I'm going to kill myself. You won't see me tomorrow." And for a while, I thought it was like an attention-seeking thing. You know, everyone's not paying attention to me. I'm going to kill myself. Give me attention. Give me attention. Okay, I'm better. And it would happen a year later. So finally, I just went, all right, screw that. Look, that laptop you have, yeah, bring it over. That gaming system you have, bring it over. Oh, yeah, all your DVDs, make sure they're at my house before you kill yourself. Because I don't want your parents giving them to anybody else. Oh, what? You want my property more than me? Well, no, this is like the 20th time you said you're going to do it. So either do it or shut the fuck up. But there's been other people I've literally had to talk off a ledge. You know, and one guy actually in basic training tried throwing himself out of a freaking hospital window because he wanted to be with his girlfriend. And here I am pulling him back in a window. You know, it's just... The scary part for me is you don't know who's really going to do it and who's just saying it for attention.
And that's why, when Brian's able to come back, that's exactly what my perspective is. And when Shannon OD'd, there was several things before that, you know, before she was taking the pills, and a lot of things that were said that we were thinking just an attention-getting mechanism. And then when there's suicide by oops, and that was the one thing that people talk about, that I didn't mean to kill myself. I did it on accident, trying to prove that I was serious about it. And that's what the doctors were telling me, that she may not have really been in that into that level that you thought that she was, but she can also kill herself by wanting to prove that she was that suicidal.
Yeah.
Always take it seriously was their point. Don't ever, ever, ever mess with somebody that says that that's what they're going to do. If they have some thoughts about it, get them some help. Talk to them, right?
Well, you see, now there's the thing. You can lock someone up for 72 hours for a mental hold here in Washington State. I don't know about Arizona, but if my better half just comes home and she goes, that's it, I'm done, I'm going to take a knife to my veins. Hey, guess what? You're getting a free trip to the hospital, honey. I'll see you in 72 hours. You know, but when you have someone going, oh my God, I just lost my job, I'm going to kill myself. To me, and this is just me, I don't equate the two the exact same, you know? I know I should, but I don't. It's like, dude, you didn't like that job. Let's just go get a beer. Shut up, you know, and let's move forward.
And that's a good point. So, Brian, we're talking about the fact that somebody's saying, and that if you look at the thing on the website for suicide prevention, one of them is take serious anybody saying that they're going to kill themselves. Now, I've been told also, do they have a plan is another serious question to help ascertain where they are in this process. If they have a plan, get them immediate help. If they don't have a plan, then what do you do at that point?
So the issue with suicidal ideation and risk of suicide is that really a person that's never really thought about committing suicide and all of a sudden becomes suicidal, they could do it, right? Someone that's been threatening it 20 years and hasn't done it yet, all of a sudden could do it too. Like there really is no guarantee that you can forecast who is going to and who isn't.
Right.
So if someone is suicidal that they don't have a plan, like let's make sure that they don't have access to something, even if they don't have a plan. Because someone that says, "Oh, I don't have a plan," could 10 minutes later grab a gun and kill themselves, because it's more impulsive. And that is the thing. Suicide, like completions, are not always necessarily because the person had a plan and they had the means and they went out and they prepared everything. That's not necessarily the case, right? So you want to make sure that whoever it is, you make sure they don't have access to something, even if they don't have a plan to. Like in that immediate moment, you really just want to mitigate risk. Really, that's the point. So okay, so you're suicidal, but you don't have a plan. Okay, cool. Do you have pills? Do you have knives that are around? Like, are the guns? And now this is a tough one, right? Because guns, especially when we're talking about veterans, like who doesn't have a gun and who's going to give that gun over, right? Like I don't think so, right? To be fair, that's their protection. That's their right.
Yeah, but you could also take it a step further. You're talking about pills. So say if somebody doesn't have like a fistful of antidepressants in their house, who doesn't have, just as an example, right here by the bed, a big thing of aspirin. Take about 30 of those. That's your last headache ever.
Right. So the idea is, do you assess for these things? What is the access? Maybe you say, okay, you're not suicidal to the point of having a plan, but you're already thinking about it. Let's have the conversation then about giving me the pills for, say, the next 10 hours, right?
I get
emptying that out. Yeah, and that's the idea, because I kind of heard you, Chris, talking about was it a girlfriend that was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, right, and it's that's a tough one, because in some situations people might just go for it, right? And the fact that she was threatening it for as long as she was, I mean, I would argue that there were some other mental health issues that were going on for her that probably she needed to be addressing. Okay, agreement. Right. And so because no one should be threatening that much without having some other underlying mental health issue. Like, that's a red flag. If you ever find yourself in something like that again, I would the first time she does it, nip it in the bud, like, okay, let's go. And she's like, no, I'm not really serious. Like, well, I don't know if you are or not. We're going to the hospital. And she refuses, call 911. Yeah. Because we don't know. We don't know. And if she is just saying it to get attention, she knows that she can't do that next time because you'll take it serious. And she'll be like, well, I don't call cops. Right. And it's tough to do, though, because in those types of relationships where they're really kind of going back and forth, man, that's tough.
I get you. And I guess the huge thing is, and I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it for like another 7 days. Keep talking.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
It's so weird how when you start opening your mouth and those words come out, how things can change.
Mm-hmm.
It's just do it, and I don't know who may be watching this later. I can guarantee you my social media info is everywhere. If you look at that little channel name right there, you're going to find at least 7 different ways to get a hold of me. If you're having an issue, get a hold of me. The guy down below me is a freaking shrink. I guarantee you he'll talk to you and practice.
Yeah. Hit me up on Instagram.
I've nicknamed Crack the Virus because, like, he got inside, destroyed my Jiminy Cricket. Now I just hear his voice every time I want to do something dumb. All I hear is, now, Chris, do you really think we want to do that? Let's think of the ramifications. Shut up, Crack,
But that's because I care about you, and but I think that that type of situation also manifests when you're talking to somebody, that you have somebody that cares, somebody else cares about you. And those are the things that may be the difference maker between somebody who's jumping off the Golden Gate or not. Sometimes it's just, somebody told me once, I was watching some show and they said the reason why they decided to not jump off the Golden Gate Bridge is because a bus driver smiled at him. He had all intention. He had it planned out, was going to go jump. The bus driver smiled at him nicely and decided to stay on the bus. And so it is extremely powerful that we have that kind of power to help other people and communicate our love to them, and in unobvious ways at times. I think like in this case where somebody's just smiling at them.
Yeah,
being a light and an example.
Yeah, but a very close friend of ours who revealed on a live stream that he thought about ending his life. What stopped him was seeing his kids' artwork. For me, and my video's out there on YouTube, if anyone wants to go look it up, it's called My Story, My Redemption. I thought about killing myself after a really bad breakup and a really bad low point that I was at. I did the whole thing, strapped a K-bar to the tree, was getting ready to ram my head right into the side of it and think, oh, well, it's somebody else's problem when they find the body. But when I drew my head back to this point, all I heard was, don't, you've got something better. And that stopped me. There was nobody around me, but I heard it clear as day.
When it comes down to it, ultimately, when someone is suicidal, they have many reasons to live and to work through that. And it is a matter, like you said, of trying to give them that to kind of interrupt those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is a little bit more difficult because if someone that is suicidal thinks they're a burden on others and that they'd be better off, the people around them would be better off without them, that can be a little bit more difficult, right? Because and it is a symptom of depression, right, or even PTSD, right? Is to have these dark thoughts, dark things going, and it's just like a runny nose. A symptom of that is, it's going to go down, and eventually that runny nose will take care of itself and it'll go away. And that's the same thing with suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts, right? And if we can help a person get through that symptom and let the illness kind of run its course,
yep,
it will eventually come back out. Our human body and our brain wants equilibrium. We want homeostasis. The whole point someone usually is suicidal is because that homeostasis gets thrown off and they're so desperate to get out of that situation that is causing them so much pain. They just want the pain to go away, and they don't see a way out of it except for this one solution in the moment that would work, but then there's nothing else.
Now, as kind of a joke, I got to say this. Guys, when you're watching this later, and those of you in the chat who are still watching us, it took Mr. Big Fancy Education 43 minutes to use a really, really big word. I knew what it was, homeostasis, but I've been waiting on that the whole show.
Yeah, balance in life, right?
Yeah.
That's really all it's about. We feel uncomfortable, we feel depressed, we feel anxious, we feel suicidal because something in our life is off from where we want it to be. If we can figure that out, then we're doing pretty good. Right? What is it?
That's why I'm saying that every single day. Take that moment. You're okay. You're fine. You can put that extra weight on there. You can have that chocolate chip muffin. Go ahead. Get the pumpkin spice latte. Who cares? Make yourself happy. Do something to change the course of your history. At that moment, I was going to take my own life. I wasn't on good terms with my family. I had just lost what I thought was the love of my life. I'm now homeless, no cash, no property, nothing except the clothes I'm wearing. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to come back from this. But I did. And I have something so much better now that I never thought I'd ever have in my whole freaking life. And that's my family.
And you can't predict the future in that dark moment, right? And that's the point. It's a symptom. It's if we can look at mental health issues as a symptom of the overall cause. I'm gonna have to put my baby here, but he's crying. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not.
You're fine. You're fine.
But it does pass. It does pass. It is mental. We like to talk about mental health. Another more negative term is mental illness, right? It is a symptom that if you can figure out the root cause and treat that, the symptoms do go away, just like a regular illness.
Yeah, but everything will. I mean, this is going to sound really bad. Even when you're on your highest point, you have to circle back around in order to appreciate the highs just as much as you do the lows, because nobody stays up top forever. Nobody.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. And if you want that, if you think that you need to be happy all the time, you will be unhappy all the time. It'll be the exact opposite because your expectations are too high. You adjust that. I mean, we want to shoot for the stars and do these great things, but got to be realistic too. Again, balance. How do you balance that? How do you balance what is too high and just right? Because you do want to push yourself too.
True.
And that's why you have friends. That's why you have peers. That's why there's therapists. That's why there's people in the beard community that you talk to and be like, hey, I'm having a rough time. Maybe they say like, well, yeah, because you're being too hard on yourself. Like, relax, have a beer.
Yeah, I do that to friends all the time. I'm like, like Prac did to me, and that's what it clicked home with me. I'm like, all right, what's going on? And they vent. I'm like, all right, now what, fucker? And it's that point where they're like, I'm like, get a plan.
Yeah. And it's great. It is great to vent. It's great to get it off. What do you do to make sure that you don't have to vent again in a month?
Right.
Because if you're suppressing it all the time to just let off steam every once in a while, I mean, that's not healthy either, So
no, suppression is not, and that's the one thing that when I started practicing, because I have a lot of anxiety, or I still do.
What do you mean had? I was gonna say, what do you mean had? Mm-hmm.
I still have anxiety. But what I realize is that stuffing it, not acknowledging it, was the biggest problem that I was having. Because my first practice was, I'm going to meditate this out, right? And that doesn't work. It puts you in like a la la land for a while, where you're, the stuff that you think that you're in this different space, but then you come back to it, and there's like the elephant in the room still. There's that, you're still stuffing stuff, your stuff underneath the dirt underneath the carpet, and it's still there. Now it's just getting worse and worse and then what I realized that you just have to let it rise and realize where it's coming from was what I found, is that once I realized where I was coming from, I could use coping skills to deal with it. And sometimes it meant communicating in a different way.
Yeah, you can only suppress your demons for so long before hell opens the gates, and now you have a bigger problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one thing that I realized over and over again, that every time that I was wanting to suppress them, I got more anxious. And then I just, it was like, I remember having to deal with things after, so I had been divorced, and I didn't deal with them. I got some pills. That's how I looked at it. It kind of helped me get through the moment. And then when I got out of the pills and I wasn't numb anymore, I had to deal with this problem that I had not dealt with, 2-3 years later. And it was extremely difficult, because it was like, hey, the things that were wrong in this relationship are same things you're dealing with now, but you suppressed them and didn't deal with them. So those demons were not dealt with. You just numbed them out and pretended they would go away. And now you have to deal, because this relationship's going to go down the crapper too.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Sorry, go ahead, Prac. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I know I destroyed too many relationships because I chose to drink instead of talk. And all that ever taught me is hangovers suck, and you cannot find the answer to your problem at the bottom of a vodka bottle. You just can't.
Right. It's just choosing healthy coping skills. I think that's the one thing, and that's what Brian's teaching here. Is he's giving you tools. That's what a therapist does. They give you tools to get healthy coping skills to be able to deal with your life in a different way. And there's so many tools out there now. And he's just named just a few of just dealing with some of the demons right offhand. But there's also
and I want to jump in a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably have to get this little guy ready for bed. He's having a hard time. But I wanted to say, like, the coping skills are great. Coping skills are absolutely necessary. But it's kind of like knowing when coping skills are just dealing with the immediate stress and not eliminating the root cause, right? And that's an important point to make, because if I'm feeling stressed because my relationship is going south and I go on a run and I get that runner's high, I'm going to feel better about it. I'm going to be like, okay, I can handle this, right? But if I don't go and figure out what's going on with this relationship in 2 days, I'm going to need that run again. It's a great coping skill. It's absolutely necessary, and it's not going to solve the problem, right? Drinking alcohol is a coping skill gone wrong, but it is a coping skill because it works in the moment. And that is what a coping skill is there for. It is to help address the immediate discomfort that we're feeling in whatever situation we're in. It mitigates it, takes it away, we feel better, right? It's like if you have an argument with your kid about them not being able to go to a dance, and you yell and you scream, but you never talk about whether or not they can go to the dance again, right? But you like distract, you go to a movie, you didn't solve the problem.
Sure.
To a movie, you had fun, you feel better. It's no different. Like, you have to have that conversation. If you're drinking alcohol to deal with relationship problems or with trauma, and you don't go and process that, right? Like, I mean, it's putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound.
Yeah.
It'll maybe help a little, but it doesn't solve it. You need stitches. Right? So use your coping skills. They're absolutely beneficial, and get to the root cause. Find some support. Straight up. Figure it out. Make some changes that might be very difficult to make, but are absolutely necessary to move forward. And that's what I got for y'all. So I'm gonna go take care of this little guy.
Go take care of that little boy.
Peace.
Thank you very much for coming on, and that's exactly why I called him on. That's exactly why I told him to come on.
Yeah, that's been good.
I don't have all the answers either. Let's get talk to him with some therapists. This is from a therapeutic point of view. I appreciate your time, Brian. We'll talk soon. Just before you go off, what's going on with your company? I know that you released Smoking Jacket. You had a couple line things that you were coming in.
Yeah.
You had a butter you were working on.
So I am doing some prototypes of butters. I haven't figured out quite yet how I want it for the consistency. Yeah, so we have the Smoking Jacket oil, first of our beard cologne type scents that we're doing. I've been doing essential oil based beard oils mostly, and the Smoking Jacket was really the I like it. I think it's my favorite scent now that we have.
It's a good scent.
We are pushing it. Yeah, I really like it.
I've been waiting for you to get it in butter, because I was like, bomb and butter on that one, please.
Yeah, and it's in the works. It's taking a little bit longer. I'm as you mentioned before, there's a couple of things that I'm working on. I'm kind of moving around in my actual practice. I'm starting a different practice, so it's going to be kind of on the back burner a little bit while I take care of this work, because that's my bread and butter. The beard stuff is fun, I don't think I can support my family on it just yet. So
One of these days, my friend.
yeah, yeah.
If
But
not,
so
it's really
smoking
good to-
jacket
it's
for
really
those
good
of
to
you.
hang out with him and talk about it, right? That's
Yeah.
even just as cool. Hey, I got this cool smoking jacket thing. Let's have fun with it. I love that.
Yeah, and so I encourage all of you to check it out. It's the newest scent. Well, kind of. We did just release an aftershave. We're not really pushing that one too hard, but yeah, I'll focus on smoking jacket. So it's tobacco, oud, black velvet, and pomegranate. It's real good, real nice. It's a more of a cologne type scent, but trying to keep it a little subtle. I don't do so well with heavy, hard hitting scents, so it's more catered towards my palate. But yeah, check it out. Order it online, hightmountainsage.com. And you guys, yeah, take care. It's really good to talk to you, Chris.
Pleasure
Morning.
to talk to you as always, Brian.
Yeah, you guys take care. Thanks for having me on.
Soon, buddy. Yeah, thanks for
See you,
coming
Andy.
on in, buddy. Yep. See
Ooh, little man sounded pissed.
you. He sounded like, and I knew that he was coming on with the kid, which was so cool that he was just given some time. That's the kind of love that we have for this community. Is there's just so many.
Yeah.
He wanted to come on and say, hey, I said this is what we're doing, and I really want a therapist's point of view on this because I don't have the answers. I think Chris is really saying he's coming from the heart. He's wanting to help out from a therapist. What is your perspective on this? And he's given us exactly what I was looking for in the last 10-15 minutes, which is cool. I think it's interesting that he brought that up because I think meditation for me was a coping skill that I learned to help, breathe, get beyond some things. But it was the practice, which is why I'm a practitioner, not a doer. I'm practicing.
Nice little blurb right there, Prac. Nice. I'm a practitioner.
But that's
that was good.
I don't have all the answers. I have what I'm practicing. I'm learning how to do better than what I was. I'm not perfect at it. I still have some of the same demons. I still have. We've talked.
Oh, yeah.
over the last months and months now, and I have the same doubts that anybody else has. I just try to learn how to talk to people and communicate them and try to get to the bottom of them. I had a dear friend this week kind of call me out. You're feeling really depressed about, kind of getting all worked up about your job, which I was, and then just realizing it's going to be okay. Do your best, put yourself in positions to excel, but what does worry do for it? So just, learning how to also how to balance coping skills and other things. So
yeah, Coon's right there with you. He just said meditation changed his life.
Yeah, it's a huge, and meditation within understanding that there's this peace behind everything. That's what it's really taught me, is there's a peace behind everything, and then realizing how the world is really made up of. It's this empty of real inherent existence, that you are your thoughts.
And hey, David, faithfully bearded.
Yeah. What did he say?
He just said, "What's up, fellas?"
Oh, hey. He's in. Hey, what's going on, David? But that is, you are your thoughts, and when you realize that you can change your thoughts to see things in a different perspective, and that's exactly what, honestly, I told you. Just here's some resources, see some things in a different way and different perspective, and then you can see how you can change your life with it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's such a bear at first to not dwell in that dark area, and then it gets easier and it gets easier. You're like, okay, this happened. Well, let's move forward. Okay, this happened. Let's deal with it. And right. One of the huge things I keep saying in my household is we'll deal with it as a family. We'll deal with it as we always do. There's some
kindness and communication.
Yeah. Or at least an all-out Nerf gun war, but still.
Yeah. So, Yeah, very good stuff. And I think that the biggest thing that I've learned over the time is also know who your resources are. I didn't have all the answers
You have to,
for this
yeah.
conversation today. I didn't. I read up on what the websites were telling me, but I have a friend that's a therapist, and I knew I could get him to be involved, just like what we're talking about. At the end of the day, get your vet friends who've been there with you.
Yep.
Who may have been, maybe they're 10 years older than you, and maybe they have a little bit more perspective now than they did when they got out, but they have been there. And then you're able to, use that resource as a ability to help yourself.
Well, one of the guys, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the guys who was in that vet feed with me, I call him at least twice a month, and we'll talk for like 4 hours about everything under the sun. And there's been times where when I was living in Spokane Valley, he came out just to pay a visit. And it was really funny. This one person was being an idiot and going, "Are you just a racist?" And I'm like, "I can't. That's my dad." The big, huge, hulking black guy. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh." And he just played right into it. He's like, "Son, are you being dumb again?" I'm like, "Sorry, Pop." But it's being able, like you're saying, tap into those resources and tap into people. That's why I've always tried to become friends with people who look at things from a different perspective than I do. Because it's amazing what you can learn about the same little itty bitty insignificant thing you think is stupid that's so important to somebody else. And you learn from them, and you gain a wealth of knowledge just by somebody else's viewpoint. Oh, and a prac freeze. Why does this happen in every live feed I go into? I always lose the host. This is great. All right, all you guys out there who's watching right now, what questions you got? Let's have a little bit of fun. Yeah, we're talking about suicide prevention and whatnot. I know you guys have seen, my live feeds on Instagram. At least I hope you have. I got minimum another 7 days, and yes. 22 a day. I hate that number with a passion. 22, I hate that number. But we're working really, really, Prac's gone. Now it's my show.
Okay, I'm back.
Dang it, he's back.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. So I don't want to go too much further along, but because we got the lovely BRBC Joe going on right now, which I definitely don't want to cut into too much of his time, but I do want to really wrap this up in a very good way, so that, because this month is almost over, and Chris, I'll say this again, I am absolutely proud of where you've come from. And just the 3-4, it's been maybe 6 months now, right?
About 6, yeah.
6 months. But just the conversation we had in the green room about the way that we were seeing ordeals in the past, where you probably would have jumped into one of them.
Yeah.
And been angry about it. Your way of dealing with it is so much different. And I think that you have had the ability to see that. And that's the reason why it's really affected you, is you finally decided that I need to use this. And you also found some resources that will help you push you over that top. And you have a lot of family that's willing to support you.
Yes.
But I think that you have, and I think that because I see things like this, I want people to know that the hope is out there. I've seen somebody make a dramatic, if not a life-changing, it's life-changing for what you've done, the way that you're seeing things. And it's dramatic. And I enjoy being your friend because of it, because I see that. And I think that if you were to take a look at as an example, you're in a good example of somebody who's been down a dark corner, seen some things, and decided that they needed to do something different. And then help support other people doing it.
Like I say almost every day, there's always a path forward. Even if you can't find it, find it. And if you can't find it, find someone who can point you in the right direction. There's nothing. And even like the analogy I made today, there's that Japanese tradition. If you break a plate, how they put it back together with like gold or silver or something like that, where they try to make it stronger than it was before. It's okay to be broke. It's okay to have your problems. It's okay. It's not okay to embrace them and make them your life, but seek help and ask for people to be there for you. It's amazing what will happen, you know? Just how liberating that was to talk to you, Pract, for that first time and just be like, look, and I swear to God, guys in the chat, I'm not lying. He let me go on for almost 2 hours. And then when I was done, he just simply went, okay, what's your next step? No judgment, no hatred, no anything. He just went, look, I'm going to send you some stuff. We'll talk later. And that's really what started a huge process of me trying to get better. And that's the only way I can phrase it, is get better.
Yeah, but it definitely took you wanting to get better.
Yeah.
And seeing it for yourself. And I think that that's what sometimes we can be a mirror to friends to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. And I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what comes from a part of love and open communication and no judgment, especially for your friends, no expectations. That's the one thing that I found that being a teacher, I would have students come in and out of my meditation classes, and they looked at this as meditation as a silver bullet that would kill all werewolves, you know. And it wasn't. They still had their life outside. Yeah, I'm still not, you know, all better. I just have found some things that work a little bit better than I did before. And
Yep.
you know, I have so, and that's what you slowly start developing, is these little steps. Not big steps, because big steps will happen occasionally, but the little steps are the ones that lead you to better, more success, because you're taking out and making habit. You talked about that a bit today, is creating new habits of mind.
Yep.
That will change your life so that you can find more peace and happiness in whatever that looks like. And I still think that you have to have 3 pieces of your life: spiritual life, an emotional life, and then a physical piece. And if you're missing one of those, you're not holistic. You're not in homeostasis.
See, another big word. I knew those words, but still, I knew you guys can't resist them. I knew it.
I love those big words. I stopped. You know, it's good. My dad's a science teacher, and so he uses big words like all the time. And his mom was a lawyer, so they had like my grandparents had. You'd go to their house, and there would be like the word of the day, and he would just pick it, and then we'd learn a word of the day. You know, and it was just like, hey, learn a new word today. Now, I didn't. You know, I just want to hang out and play with my granddad's house, so I didn't do too much of that. But my dad did. He knows a lot of big words.
See,
but
the last time I was
really appreciate. Go ahead.
The last time I was challenged by my grandfather to learn a word of the day, I learned patricide. And he was pretty proud of me at that point, you know?
There you go. That's funny. That's funny. So I'm going to tell you this, Chris, and we'll leave this on a very happy note. Both of us are examples of things that can be different for you. So anybody who's viewing this in the future, even Kuhn here, is stating that there are things that in his life that just changed him, things that have changed us. We're examples of what can be. We're not perfect. We're definitely far from perfect, but we're on a journey and a path to be different and happier and find happiness and peace in our lives. Within our lives, you know, doesn't mean go running away and joining a circus and everything's going to be better. It means being able to accept the things that you have and the way things are than the way that they aren't.
Right.
And once you come to that acceptance and peace, then your life starts moving in a different way. And, you know, you start accepting things for the way they, you know, you start dealing with change. You know, change is just part of life. It's just the way it is.
Agreed, brother.
But Yeah. So anyway, I will leave us on that. Chris, what do you got going on? We got 7 more days of our 22. I've seen your wonderful postings every day. What else is going on?
Well, I'm going to film next week's. I think it's going to be next week's life vlog, probably tomorrow. I want to make sure that's filmed and wrapped up because that'll be my last one for the month on that subject. I've got more beard products I got to do reviews on. I won't lie, Clever Beards is really sneaking in there. I got some neat stuff from Gary in. I've got just a whole bunch of stuff I got to get filmed. I mean, granted, I've got a bunch ready to go, but it's like it's funny how when you take a pause, things pile up on you really quick.
I totally know that. I took a pause for about 2 weeks here because I was like, I just didn't want to do the same format, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, and I've been talking to you about this and the reviewers as well, the other creators in our group. Like, I just don't want to be sitting in front of a camera and just doing the same thing everybody else is. There's a certain element that has to be the case because you're reviewing products.
Right.
But how do I do it in a different way that's uniquely me, where you have your style, Chris? I felt like that's what I was kind of looking for. And I think that I'm coming to it, but I did take a couple weeks off and now I'm piled up with a ton of reviews that I'm trying to push out. My couple of things that are really popping for me is one of my dear friends, 10th Kingdom BC, Mandy's just released a new website and totally awesome. She's totally cool and her products are amazing and she's come up with some new designs, very cool. And then again, that hitchhiker, I've been trying that all week. I don't know if you've seen my funny videos on Instagram, but holy moly, man. Their fall scents are like my favorite time. And when you get that one fall scent that you're just like, oh, this is so, I love that when you get that scent moment where you're like, this is so darn good. Well, and it could be like, I love it.
Anointed AK screwed me up. Their fall collection. They're like, buy 3, get 1 free. Okay. Now I'm like, oh, I love this stuff. It's great. Oh, it's awesome.
I know. It's so good. And I don't live in a place where there's fall. Arizona, there's no fall here.
You're a desert. Okay. You have hot, hotter, hot, maybe a little bit of cool. Oh, look, the car is melting outside. Hot, 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 hot.
I know. It's still like 100 degrees. And I used to live in the Midwest because my dad was military. So we lived all over the place. So I remember living in the Midwest and it being, there's leaves, there's that smell. I remember jumping in leaves when I was a kid and raking them up and all the fun fall events and pumpkins that don't mold after one day of buying them and carving them. That literally happens here in Arizona.
Well, it's like 140 in the shade, and I hate you people out there. Oh, it's a dry heat. You're baking yourself walking to the store.
Totally true. I used to hey, it's just, granted, my daughter went to Michigan and she has no idea what cold looks like, right? No idea. She's been here too long. So she's now going to be experiencing like negative weather. And I'm just like, good luck. You went from baking to this is colder than the refrigerator.
Right? Turn the air conditioning down, please. I'm freezing my you-know-what off. Oh.
Chris, as always, my friend, it has been an awesome time. I'm hoping that if we reach one person tonight, that's what I'm after. Definitely reach out to my buddy Chris here. Any vets that are experiencing some things that they are wanting to talk about, anything, any one of us that are within this stream tonight and anybody that's out there in the bearded community that I know of, reach out to some friends, reach out to somebody and talk about it. Don't let that ego
guys
put yourself into danger.
There's no stigma. If I can do it, you can do it. Seriously. Absolutely. If I can do it, you can do it.
Chris is my example. Chris is a fine example of being able to be a vet.
We're gonna have keys.
No,
and be awesome dude. And being able to deal with. And even his kids. Dealing with kids.
Hold on. Get!
No problems. So we're 15 minutes in. Let's. I again, I'm going to be doing some reviews. I have unboxing that I did for a couple new products. I'm stopped buying products because I can't deal with taking any more in, except for I keep buying them because I want to support another fall scent.
See, there's guys out there I want to try. Like our buddy Joe at Bearded Life has talked so highly of Kuhn. I got to get him on my to buy list. You know,
Kuhn is really good. I am not kidding you. He's. I have to go buy. I've been dealing with hair clay, and so I'm going to go buy. Finally, I got to the paycheck where I can afford to go buy $25 worth of hair clay, because he also offers hair products. And I'll tell you,
Formula 49. Johnny Slicks, Formula 49. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah,
I got a discount code for you too.
I will probably. I told Kuhn that I was going to buy some, so I need to just do it, and then I'll try that. Maybe that's another direction where my channel. I love hair products, and I might, try to throw that out there. And I will tell you that I have some deodorants that I've been trying out, and I might do one of those videos every once in a while, just because I want to prevent people from buying some of this stuff.
I know which one. I did a review on it too.
I know. I was like, yeah, it works like 2 hours. Totally 2 hours. It smelled good, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa. Onion,
I got the activated charcoal one.
Yeah. Did that do any good?
First, it's hard as a brick, and then like it turns like jelly soft. And it's really fun when you try to get the stick back down and put the lid on. Yeah.
It was like a good idea because it's natural and stuff, but in theory, but it's not effective.
The worst natural deodorant I ever tried was from Bearded Oregon. Oh. It came in a cardboard tube that looked like a push pop. Never again. Never again.
Yeah, I had some sort of wax stuff once that ripped out hair.
Yes. But okay, guys, before we get too far off track, I know practice got to get, but I'm going to leave you guys with just like I've been saying every single morning. You matter. Your life matters. You bring a spark of insanity to this world that can't be replicated by anybody. All of us have our problems. All of us have everything. We're basically a big group. We're this weird dysfunctional family. But you can't have, dysfunction without the fun. Stay with us. You can come back from anything in your life except if you take your life.
I'm going to leave it at that, my friend. Thank you for coming on.
It was my pleasure, brother.